Hey y'all, it's like 10:30, 10:40 at night, and we just got finished with home group a little while ago, probably around an hour ago. Got the kids in bed, got home, got them in bed, and normally 10:45 on a weeknight. I've been working all day. It's been long, we're exhausted, but tonight we're just encouraged and just amped up. Just stoked about what God's doing in the lives of my family, in the lives of the people of River Deep, in the lives of the people who are orbiting River Deep. It's just a beautiful thing when we get together and get to hang out. I mean, we get started around 6:30 or so, and get a meal going, sharing time, sharing life, catching up. We start in a Bible study around 7. We're done by 8:30 or so, trying to land the plane before the kids reach past their bedtime, and the room kind of starts to implode. And so I think 8:30 we're kind of pushing it. We need to go ahead and close up as much as we can in a normal way, and then to watch for an hour as people just continue to hang out and continue to catch up and laugh and just be together and just to enjoy being together. And it's just an encouraging thing to see how God is moving and knitting people's hearts together, and not just people who are members of our church, but people who are bigger than that, people who are just friends, and they don't even go to the same church as us, but we see a camaraderie and a commonality and just a heartfelt desire to get to know and spend time with one another, even for another hour, as kids are running around and interrupting and sometimes acting crazy and silly. But it's just beautiful to see the community and the people of God be the community and people of God. I mean, it really is 3 hours of what would be considered like a Sunday school type environment. But I mean, when was the last time you spent 3 hours at Sunday school and thought, man, I wish this wouldn't this wouldn't end? I know sometimes 30 minutes seems like it's a little too much, but it's beautiful to see the people of God just being together and enjoying and laughing. And it reminds me that God's kingdom isn't just what's happening at River Deep here. It's not just what God's doing in this small thing, but God's doing across the world. And it's an exciting thing that God's bigger than me, or God's bigger than you, and that we need to continue to be reminded of how God's moving around the city, and God's moving around our churches, and God's moving around our workplaces, and God's moving in our communities, and ultimately around our country. And so that's what I want to begin doing with these videos. I just want to begin telling the story of God and how He is changing lives and restoring lives and redeeming lives, not just in Memphis, not just in the Mid-South, but across the country, and even sometimes across the world, as we get the opportunity to tell people's story and put them in front of a camera. So if you have some time and you'd love to tell your story of what God's doing, I'd love to listen. I'd love to remind people of God's faithfulness and how He still saves people and how He still redeems people and how He still loves you and He loves me, and He's calling us to be His hands and feet and to communicate life and to communicate hope to a world that desperately needs to be reminded of stories of hope, of how God cares and God loves, and God is using you and me, normal people, to make a difference in this world and in eternity as well. So these videos will also share a little bit of time with things that are happening in church planting in the city and through River Deep. So we'll try and tell you about what God's doing. Also begin to discuss some of the principles as we found a church, as we structure a church, what does good membership look like, and those kind of things. So there'll be some nuts and bolts stuff in there, but it's good to be challenged and reminded in those. And also, we just want to tell the story of how God's Spirit speaks to you and to me, and how we hear Him in the daily things and in the everyday things, in the menial to the big things, and how God is faithful and how He's always present. And so if you'd love to tell your story, I'd love to put you in front of the camera. I'd love for you to share with us God's faithfulness and to challenge us and encourage us and remind us of what He's doing, and that He's still in the business of redeeming and reforming His people into His image. And it's just a beautiful privilege that we get to be a small part of that. So we love y'all. Keep us in your prayers. God's doing incredible stuff in the city. I don't get time to share that enough. We're pretty busy, but we're going to try and spend some time as we find the freedom, and we find the capacity to just find just a few minutes to cut some videos together and to shoot them. We'll try and get those out there, but we hope to do that more and more, so you can hear and be encouraged and be reminded of our great God that we serve and we love. So keep us in your prayers. We love y'all, and we'll be in touch.